guys, this is Adam with New Image Dent Repair in McKinney, Texas. Today I'm going to be doing a little tutorial video on how we would go about removing a dent from this 2020 Subaru. So here's the dent. We've got the main part of the dent, obviously this area right here, and then we got it below the body line. See, it's sort of through the body line, but mainly above and below it. And you've got some other little small things that are related to this the same impact here. We're going to take care of those too, but so this does have a scrape through it from where somebody backed into it. We're going to be able to wet sand and buff a good bit of this out. This little area right here, this tiny little area, is about the only part that will not completely go away. This other stuff is pretty light, but the customer wanted to take the option of just touching this one little spot up when we're done, as opposed to repainting the entire door. So that's what we're going to do. We've started out by removing the door panel and all that goes with it. These are the cables that open your door. Go around here and show you the door panel. This one was fairly easy to remove. There's just a couple of screws. There was one that came in from the other side and screwed into the panel right here, and you've got a series of clips. Alright, so I've decided I'd be better off just completely removing this door from the car and laying it on a stand. That way I can work it flat and come in through here. The dent's probably somewhere back in here. So what I've done is I've disconnected all this stuff, disconnected the main harness to the door. It actually goes through a little boot right in here, if you can see that, and then runs all the way through here and plugs in up here, and there's a plug down here. So we pushed all that through and getting ready to take out the main bolts that hold the door. We've got two up here, you've got two down here, and this hinge, I don't know what you would call it, but this basically keeps your door from opening too far and kind of guides it, you know, when it opens up. So we'll take that off and put it on a stand and start pushing on the dent. Alright, so we have the door completely off the car. Use this door cradle as a little support to help us out. And we have put it on a stand. Secured it safely to the stand. It's just a lot easier on our backs and everything when dents are on a lower part of this body line, as opposed to up here in the middle or something like that. You can get to them a lot easier to push on them, but when they're down here it can cause some problems, especially on a front door. Kind of the lower you get on them, you tend to lose a lot of leverage unless you have it done like this. So we plan on going in through right here and being able to push with a tool. So I'm going to be starting this repair with this Dent adjustable tip tool. It's about 30 inches long, I believe, maybe 36. But this tip right here is really blunt, and it's like a semi-hard plastic. We're going to go in, like I said, through the bottom here and start pushing on these areas, you know, right here. This metal is really dense, so whenever you have a dent like this, it can push up a high spot in this crown, or it'll make a crown right here, almost like a high spot. So a lot of times the bottom of this dent won't want to come up until you knock some of this down and balance out the metal, so this bottom will move. Same thing for over here. This is probably holding a lot of pressure from more of the metal being in this area right here. So when I say knock down, we're gonna tap this with a hammer and try to flatten out some of this area right here, so the rest of this damage will move a lot easier, making a lot cleaner repair. So I'll tap this you know, on the metal sort of with this paddle right here, and then as I get further along, I may, you know, depending on the size of the crown or high spot I'm trying to knock down, we'll use different tips like this. And then finally, to finish it out, we would use something pretty sharp like this to really finalize the repair. So I'm gonna get pushing on this, and I'll come back when I've made some progress and kind of show you what I've done. Alright, so I've been working on this thing for a little bit now, and you can see it's in a very rough stage right now. I was actually able to glue pull the big part of those dents just to get it started. So we had a tab like that, and placed a tab like that on the other side, and was able to you know, use some hot glue on there and place this mini lifter right here, you know, on the tab, and you know, you lift it. And so that worked out a big portion of those. And then, like I said, I went back through and still picked a lot of the bulk of it with this, and like I said, tapped down that crown right here with this, and a little bit down here. You can still see there's some left, but it's still, you know, it's in the rough stages. Like I said, we're gonna go back with a sharper tip. Sorry, we're gonna go back with a sharper tip and pick this the rest of this damage out, and we'll give you an update on that. Alright, so now we're in the finishing stages of this repair. You can still see some very minor low spots and a few little high spots in there. We're going to go in here with actually a very sharp tip tool like this, and go in and push out the rest of the damage. Probably switch over to a you know, we talked about knocking down earlier. We're going to switch to a pretty sharp knockdown tool like this, and nice little wet sand and buff over it, and we should be ready to put this door back on the car. Alright, so we're just about wrapped up. I still need to buff a little bit right here. You can see a haze. We did wet sand and buff this, like I said I was going to earlier. So what I've done here is kind of marked an area that just needs a little bit more pushing. It's just got a slight little ripple or low spot right in there. We're gonna push that up and buff it a little bit more, polish it, and put it back on the car, and we'll be done with this repair.